Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I know that it's been a little while, but we are back here. As I have been gone for a couple of weeks, I just wanted to kind of round out some of the stuff that happened with the legislature as it closed for the year. By the way, if you don't know why I've been out for a couple of weeks, that means you're part of that 50% that is not subscribed. So please like, share, and subscribe these videos. It really helps us get this message out. For those of you who don't know, I did have my second child. It was a wonderful time. I have a couple more gray hairs in my beard because of it. I'm sure I'll have a lot more in the upcoming years. But that is what's going on there. So back to the close of the legislature, we had some really good things happen and one minor squeak through. So I want to start there. You got AB 2870. This was another expansion of the gun violence restraining orders here in California. If you aren't aware of this, this is one of the glaring aspects of the firearms community because while on paper it might sound good, it might sound helpful for somebody to report somebody else who might be a danger to their community. This is something that happens without due process, and due process is something that our founding fathers really made important within our Constitution, and it doesn't happen here. So these GVROs have now been expanded to, I think, fourth degree people, classmates, which again is murky in that of itself. How do you even define a classmate? So we're basically allowing more and more people the ability to target you and file a gun violence restraining order, which would then result in the police obtaining a warrant, coming and taking your firearms without you having any knowledge of it. That did end up passing, and it got through to the governor's desk. So with the one piece of bad news out of the way, we do have some good things that happened. So you got SB 505, which was an attempt to institute firearms insurance policy on all gun owners in California. This is something that we've seen out of San Jose, and they still haven't figured it out yet. The city council in San Jose already passed this, and they are continuing to work on it because they don't know how to get the money from the people. They don't know how to make sure that people are actually carrying the firearms insurance. So this has just been a huge mess, and I think this ends up being one of the glaring political efforts in California that we need to continue and focus on because you see something happening at the city level of San Jose and then making an appearance at the state legislature. I'm immediately drawn, because I was part of this, to the battle for gun shows at the fairgrounds. You have the Costa Mesa Gun Show. You have somebody who was appointed to that board. Her name is Ashley Aiken, who has spent the last 3 years being one of the only members on that board lobbying to get rid of the gun shows. She's now running for mayor of Anaheim, and if she gets it, I don't think she's going to stop there, and neither should you. This is where these people, cut their teeth in the lower levels of government. They work their way up and they take their bad ideas with them. We're coming into the 2022 midterm elections, and we need to continue focusing. And who thinks about a fair board, right? But it is something that needs to be watched. So we need to be as diligent as possible watching all of the efforts within our community, because these are the people that end up taking these bad ideas to the state legislature and maybe even worse, the national legislature. But the firearms insurance did end up dying in community. By the way, these efforts are big time focus on CRPA as well as gun owners of California, who were in the Capitol the last couple of days of the session lobbying their hearts out. So Sam Paredes, Rick Travis, thank you both very much for the long days. I know that I was talking to Rick, and he was saying he was putting in 16 to 20 hour days lobbying against these things. So thank you very much to those two individuals. You also have AB 1227, which was the legislature's, I think, fourth attempt at an excise tax. Again, here in California, they are trying to tax the heck out of firearms so that people don't want to purchase them. We're almost getting to the point where these people are offering, tax rates that would make the tax more money than the firearms themselves. Fortunately, it did not pass. That one would have, I think it was 10% additional on pistols and 11% on long guns and ammunition. And then finally, you've got the most egregious one, which was basically spitting in the face of the Bruin decision from the Supreme Court, and that was Senate Bill 918. This would have increased fees for CCWs. It also basically outlined all the sensitive areas that you wouldn't be able to take your firearm. So, you go through this training, you pay the money to get a CCW so that you can carry your firearm where other people can't in California. And then they make a bill outlining how you can't actually take your firearm there. So it was really good. So Senate Bill 918 as well as 1227, part of the reason why they didn't pass is because urgency clause were put on those bills. And basically what an urgency clause does is it enacts the legislation immediately. So most of the time on September 1st, when the governor signs a bill into law, it would go into effect January 1st of the next year, or even with some bills over time. But these urgency clauses would have enacted these laws immediately. So I know that goes into the argumentation when you're talking about passing these bills, and thank goodness they didn't pass. I just want to highlight how big of a deal this is to not have these things passed. This gives us more time, as I'm sure you can assume, as we're assuming, these bills will come up again next year, but it will give us more time to gather more evidence, better arguments to fight them next year. And we're going to need your help. We're going to need everybody's help in telling our elected officials that we don't want these sorts of laws to pass. However, that is the basic rundown. That's what we missed over the last couple of weeks. As I'm sure you can tell, CRPA has been fighting for Second Amendment rights here in California all year. The legislative season is now over, and we're going to start focusing on the elections coming up soon. So please stay tuned for future videos as we are talking about those elections.